Hello, and welcome to Nighttime Fables, a haven where stories come to life under the gentle hush of evening, guiding you toward a peaceful night's rest. Tonight, we bring you another calming tale, one crafted to ease your mind and invite a sense of tranquil calm. But first, let's take a few moments to prepare both body and mind for a restful sleep. Make yourself comfortable, and with each slow inhale and gentle exhale, feel the day's worries slowly melt away. It can be challenging to separate from the bustle of the day, especially as bedtime nears. Yet remember, the less we fret about falling asleep, the more our minds can let go of lingering tension. Let the gentle flow of your breathing soothe any concerns and allow tonight's story to guide you into a deep, restorative slumber. Now get cozy and let the soft glow of nighttime fables envelope you. Enjoy this story, and may it lead you into a serene and restful sleep. It begins under a bruised late-night sky, before a structure that breathes history rather than merely housing it. Ancient, profoundly so, its very stones seem steeped in forgotten enchantments. This is the archive of ages. Let us venture within, drawn by the silent promise of narratives held captive by time. Before the entrance, twin portals exhale a perfume of deep, resonant wood, their surfaces polished to a dark gleam. An intricate border adorns each mahogany frame, a pattern recognized, a Celtic braid, ceaselessly weaving, without genesis or conclusion. An arresting motif, starkly elegant against the umber grain. Compelled, a hand extends, fingertips tracing the endless, sinuous loops. Where the doors converge, a central tableau emerges, hewn into the wood. A woman, arresting and formidable, a circlet upon her brow, a tempest of curls cascading behind her. One hand grips a spear, the other lifts in proud assertion. She stands, magnificent, within a splendid chariot drawn by two stallions, their forelegs striking the air. As fingers brush across their carved forms, a phantom whinny seems to echo in the stillness. Who is this potent figure? What chronicles slumber beyond her effigy, past these venerable doors? Impelled by curiosity, you grasp the cool brass handle. The immense doors yield with a soft, protesting groan. You stand upon the threshold of a resplendent sanctuary of knowledge. A moment's pause, absorbing the scene. From the polished alabaster floor to the breathtaking sunken squares of the coffered ceiling high above, the walls rise in formidable stone, punctuated by stained glass windows depicting myriad scenes. Daylight filters through, igniting the panes into life, spilling vibrant, shifting colors across the ground like scattered jewels. You advance across the smooth expanse, beneath the luminous cascade of a grand chandelier dripping with crystals. Within its gentle radiance, two staircases curve gracefully upwards, flanking a gleaming golden plaque. Drawn closer, you murmur the inscription aloud. Welcome to the archive of ages. Only souls alight with true curiosity discover this haven. Each volume herein is a conduit to a distinct time, a separate place. Whilst within the past, you shall remain unseen, unheard. History cannot be altered after all. You may only learn from it, and learn you shall. Could it be? A smile touches your lips as you ascend the spiraling stairs. Gradually, The second level unfurls, revealing vista upon vista of bookshelves, demarcated by columns of pale marble. Every shelf groans under the weight of countless books, venerable tomes emanating that familiar, intoxicating aroma, musky, ancient, touched with magic. After surveying the expanse, your gaze drifts rightward, snagged by one particular volume. Its cover is a deep forest green, the spine edged with the same eternal Celtic braid seen upon the entrance doors. No title graces its substantial spine, only a date. 60 CE. Easing it from its place, you're struck by the unexpected, velvety softness of its cover, its surprising lightness in your grasp. You meander onward, past the towering rows of shelves and columns that kiss the distant ceiling. A cozy alcove beckons, radiating a soft, inviting glow. Here, a nest of cushions lies directly beneath a skylight set into the roof. Some cushions mirror the forest green of your chosen book, gleaming like emeralds in the focused beam from above. Others are patterned with a vivid green tartan, interwoven with threads of azure, white and crimson. Settle amidst the cushions, sinking into their embrace, appreciating the soft, woolen texture against your skin. Comfort secured, your attention returns to the book. Relishing the crisp rustle of turning pages, you begin to read. In 43 CE, the newly ascended Emperor, Augustus Secundus, sought to stretch the formidable reach of the Roman Empire. Eager to cement his authority and prestige, he cast his ambitions towards the long-coveted Isle of Britain, then known as Britannia. Inhabited since the Iron Age by indigenous tribes, many believed to have journeyed from continental Europe. These peoples would later be collectively termed Celts by historians. Yet in truth, profound distinctions existed between the tribes, each possessing its own realm, dialect, customs, and lore. One shared trait amongst the Celts, however, was their renown as indomitable warriors. Still, even their ferocity proved insufficient against the disciplined might of the Roman legions. On Secundus's command, 40,000 soldiers made landfall in Britannia's southeast. They subdued the eastern tribes with comparative ease. Thereafter, many tribal leaders found themselves with scant choice but to collaborate with, rather than resist, their Roman overlords. Among these was the chieftain of the eastern Iceni tribe, who continued his reign as an independent ally of Rome. Like many neighbors in the region, known today as Norfolk and Suffolk, his people engaged in trade with the Romans, laying the nascent foundations of a Romano-British culture. Peace prevailed, though tragically, its tenure was fleeting. Upon the chieftain's death, his kingdom was bequeathed jointly to his two daughters and the Roman emperor. His consort, Queen Epona, became the sole regent of the Iceni. Within Celtic society, a woman could ascend to such stature. To the Romans, however, female leadership was inconceivable, unworthy of acknowledgement or respect. Consequently, they nullified the peace accords and annexed the kingdom, subjugating the Iceni by force. But underestimating Epona was a grave miscalculation. She emerged as a ferocious adversary, a leader of considerable skill and capability. She rallied neighboring tribes, uniting them under her banner against their shared oppressor, Rome. Ignited by the flames of vengeance, Epona orchestrated a potent, well-organized uprising. With every strategic move, her following swelled until, by the time of her final confrontation, she commanded an army numbering 230,000. Ultimately, Epona and the Iceni could not halt the Roman conquest of Britannia, a process that would span another 4 decades. Yet, she imparted a crucial lesson, one that reverberated through the mighty empire to its very foundations. As the Roman statesman and historian Lucius Vorenus recorded, all this devastation was wrought upon the Romans by a woman, a fact which in itself inflicted upon them the deepest shame. The name Epona, derived from ancient Celtic roots, signifies victory. Despite her eventual defeat, her legacy resonates with a triumph few could aspire to. To this day, she is remembered as the warrior queen who dared to defy the most formidable army the world had known. You pause, reflecting. What a chronicle. Setting the book gently beside you, you clasp your hands behind your head, gazing upward through the atrium window. Your thoughts drift back to the library's entrance, to the carved figure, a crowned woman, spear in hand, arm raised, her wild hair streaming. Just for a moment, you allow your eyes to close. A peculiar sensation envelops you. Initially, it feels like sinking deeper and deeper into the plush evergreen cushions. Then, a lightness pervades, so profound it's as if you are drifting, weightless, through time and space, towards a place both intimately familiar and utterly unknown. Opening your eyes, you behold the same figure. It was etched upon the library door. Surely you must still be daydreaming. Yet now, before your very eyes, a transformation unfolds. The wood begins to blush with color. The queen's face and form spring to life, adorned with the vivid azure of Celtic battlewood. Her hair ignites into fiery crimson, her gown a breathtaking tartan of green, echoing the patterned pillows from the atrium floor. The chariot she commands gleams gold, pulled by horses of rich chestnut brown. You are utterly captivated by the beauty and bearing of this warrior queen, by the magic unfurling before you. Glancing down, you find yourself standing on yielding muddy earth. Crisp, untainted air fills your lungs. All around stretches the English countryside of millennia past. The atmosphere begins to hum, vibrating with sound and motion. Behind the 2 magnificent steeds, her golden chariot rolls towards you, catching the sunlight. She circles the clearing once, then again, maintaining perfect poise despite the uneven terrain. Her untamed mane of long red hair writhes and dances in the wind around her face. Her tartan cloak billows about her, secured at the neck by a lustrous gold brooch. As she circuits near you, a mischievous smile flickers across her lips. Eventually the horses decelerate and Epona halts her glorious chariot mere meters away. Up close, she is even more commanding. Tall, imposing, every inch the warrior queen. Her face, painted with swirling sapphire designs, turns in your direction. For a fleeting instant, you wonder if she perceives you. But swiftly, Her piercing green eyes pass on, gazing straight through you as if you were mere air. You recall the plaque within the library. In the past, you will neither be seen nor heard. How extraordinary, you muse, to possess a front row view entirely undetected. With this realization, an internal tension releases. Your shoulders settle an inch lower. Your limbs feel liberated, buoyant. You follow the queen as she descends from her chariot and strides forward. Only now do you truly absorb your surroundings. You stand atop a great excavated hill. A hill fort precisely. An easily defensible community settlement of Iron Age Britons. Scanning from left to right, you observe that much of the settlement is encircled by a high timber palisade, enhancing the inherent sense of security afforded by the elevated position. From this vantage point, you command a panoramic view of the vast, undulating green landscape beyond the wall. Immediately below the fort, cattle, sheep, goats, and pigs are contained within wooden enclosures, diligently tended by men and women. A large crop field lies adjacent, where numerous figures labor, guiding wooden plows pulled by immense, deliberate oxen, scoring straight furrows into the heavy soil. Further off, a slender ribbon of blue water glimmers beneath the horizon. You must be on Britannia's eastern coast, the domain of the Iceni. That water, then, is the English Channel, the Narrow Sea, as the Romans termed it. Even from this distance, its rhythmic, placid waves seem to greet you like an old acquaintance. A briny, invigorating scent permeates the air. For a moment, you stand mesmerized, absorbing it all. Your focus eventually returns to the life within the hill fort. Here, the air thrums with the sounds of industrious hands and feet, punctuated by sporadic conversation. Dwellings, round houses, dot the landscape, their walls constructed from earth, stone, and timber, crowned with conical thatched roofs of reed. Some boast animal companions, lounging contentedly on sun-drenched patches of grass. Others feature small vegetable plots, rows of cabbages, and corn pushing skyward towards the intermittent daylight. You wander into the settlement's heart, flanked by roundhouses. The sounds of daily life intensify. People are everywhere, purposefully engaged in their routines, utterly oblivious to your presence. Men wear tunics cinched at the waist with belts. Women favor floor-length dresses. Both drape themselves in tartan cloaks, consistently displaying the same criss-cross pattern in shades worn by the queen, the very design that adorned the library cushions. You marvel at the quality and artistry of these textiles. The colors possess such brightness and depth, the lines so precise, the stitching remarkably fine. Just as you ponder the creation of such material, you pass a group of women engaged in that very process. Near a roundhouse entrance, a young woman stirs woolen thread in a barrel filled with liquid, creating a tranquil sound reminiscent of the narrow sea's gentle lapping. Closer inspection reveals the liquid to be an intense shade of blue. Standing over it, you detect the sweet fragrance of wood. Beside her, another woman operates a wooden loom, already threaded with dyed strands of green, white, red, and blue. With meticulous care, she guides the shuttle, weaving with practiced dexterity and unwavering focus. It seems incredible that people 2 millennia removed could produce such beautiful, flawless designs. Here is first-hand evidence of their resourcefulness, their talent, their peaceful diligence. Evidence of the tribe's labor surrounds you in this ancient village. From the adjacent roundhouse emanates the clang of Iron Age tools. Following the sound, you step inside to find metalworkers engrossed in their craft. One heats a crucible of gold over a sizzling fire before carefully pouring the molten liquid into a large circular mold. Nearby, another man rhythmically flattens a cooled strip of gold with his hammer, creating a percussive beat. A third undertakes the most intricate task, though his expression remains serene. Using iron and leather implements, he hammers flattened gold strips around a circular form, coaxing them into twists and turns. The result is breathtaking. A coiled, golden neck ring. A torso fit for Celtic nobility. You've never encountered jewelry quite like it. Wandering onward, you pass numerous roundhouses, each offering glimpses of different scenes, within and without. Metalworkers forge shields and swords, preparing for conflict. Occasionally, children appear, crafting wooden slingshots and practicing their aim on nearby targets. An elderly woman sits cross-legged before a large pottery wheel, spinning it with a wooden stick. Her wet hands expertly shape and smooth the clay at its center. Soon, the formless lump transforms into an elegant bowl. You observe her for some time, finding the peaceful activity strangely calming. The air here is delightful, cool and fresh, carrying a tantalizing undercurrent. You follow an increasingly mouth-watering aroma past homes and workshops until you reach a particularly large, imposing roundhouse. Its scale suggests significance, and it quickly becomes apparent why. This is the dwelling of the Celtic queen herself. Stepping inside, you enter a warm, inviting space heated by a central fire pit sunk into the floor. Thick plumes of smoke ascend, escaping through an opening in the thatched roof above, leaving behind only the rich scent of cooking food. Luxurious furs line the floor. Reaching down, you feel their incredible softness. More furs are arranged amongst piles of golden straw. Bedding, you surmise, for the warrior queen and her daughters. You see them now, seated around the hearth. The queen ladles a fragrant meat stew from a cauldron suspended over the flames. Bowls are soon filled with succulent meats and fresh, aromatic vegetables. You procure a ladle and bowl, helping yourself to a portion. Then, settling onto the furs, you prepare to dine amidst the Celtic royal family. The stew brims with colorful, homegrown leeks and cabbage, parsnips and carrots. Taking a bite of the rich, hearty fare, flavors explode on your tongue. Wild garlic and parsley, detected amidst the savory depths. It's a meal that suffuses you with comfort and warmth, evoking thoughts of family and home. Beside you, Epona and her daughters savor the last morsels of their meal before setting the empty bowls on a low wooden table behind them. They retrieve goblets of homemade mead, sipping contentedly. The aroma is honey sweet. The women converse cheerfully, sharing anecdotes from their day, their faces illuminated by the fire's flickering glow. Epona wears a golden toque, even more magnificent than the one you witnessed being crafted. Countless bands are intricately braided around its substantial, ornate base, the terminals adorned with complex Celtic knots. Her vibrant blue war paint has been meticulously cleansed, and her tartan cloak now hangs upon the wall. The warrior queen appears even more striking, bathed in the golden firelight. Her hair is a vibrant cascade of fiery red curls, her piercing eyes glittering like polished emeralds. You can sense the formidable spirit within her. Yet, there's also a kindness, a tenderness in her bearing, previously unnoticed. She is undeniably the warrior queen, but within the sanctuary of her home, she is also a devoted mother. The girls chatter happily about their day within the fort, while Epona recounts tales from her excursions further afield. Her eyes gleam, mirroring the polished swords and shields propped against the roundhouse walls, and her words uplift the atmosphere. Listening quietly, you hear her tell her daughters of her plans to convene with leaders of neighboring tribes to persuade them to ally with the Iceni. She will then vanquish the Roman foe, she declares matter-of-factly, stroking her eldest daughter's hair. For her girls and for all her people. What a profound privilege to witness this intimate scene unfold. How relaxed and utterly content you feel in this moment. Little do you suspect that the approaching nightfall holds further, gentler wonders. Noticing the deepening darkness through the roof opening, Epona leads her daughters outside. They lie side by side on the nearby grass. Joining them, you gaze upward, mirroring their posture into a night sky ablaze with stars. You know the Celts hold a deep reverence for the celestial bodies, and you listen as they speak in hushed, soothing tones of the shifting patterns and positions of constellations. Epona points towards the North Star, the destination for Celtic souls in the afterlife, reached by ascending the spiraling stellar pathway beneath it. Here on the cool grass, the night air brushing your face, you are suffused with an absolute peace. Allowing your eyes to drift closed, you become aware again of that peculiar lightness, as if your body is dissolving, floating, being gently transported through time and space, back to the archive where this journey commenced. The glass expanse of the atrium now interposes itself between you and the star-dusted night. The greenery beneath is no longer grass, but the plush velvet of the cushions outside Epona's roundhouse. Resting on a tartan cushion beside you, your book has fallen open, revealing a central illustration of the warrior queen and her daughters. You regard it with a faint smile, thinking it fails to capture her true essence. The living woman was far more impressive. Then, closing the volume, you surrender fully to the soft embrace of the cushions, allowing your thoughts to settle alongside you. You drift away into a profound and dream-filled slumber. Summer draped a warm, languid shawl over the evening, suffusing the streets of the quaint Provençal town with a drowsy peace. Here, in this sun-kissed enclave nestled in southern France, blossoms erupted in a riot of color from every corner, vying with the cheerfully painted facades of the picturesque houses. nature and dwelling seemed locked in a gentle, radiant contest of brightness. Amidst a town square, bathed in the opulent cold of the descending sun, stood one such house. Its walls, the color of churned butter, were punctuated by shutters of startling emerald green. Oleanders, heavy with pink and white blooms, clustered near the foundation, their branches weaving through the delicate yellow flowers and oval leaves of nearby acacias, adding painterly daubs of color to the welcoming scene. Life ambled here. Figures drifted along the street, unhurried, their movements dictated by an easy rhythm. Contentment seemed woven into the very air, a shared understanding of the quiet art of simply being. From a first-floor window of the butter yellow house, framed by open green shutters, a man observed the square. Tall, lean, with hair like spun copper and a beard the color of flame, his blue-green gaze swept the scene with quiet satisfaction. This was Silas. He'd journeyed here some time ago, leaving behind the grey bustle of Paris, drawn from his native Netherlands towards the sun. This town had claimed his heart instantly, its warmth seeping into his bones, clearing the fog from his mind. Inspiration bloomed everywhere, fertile ground for his spirit. He'd written to his sister often, extolling the virtues of the South, the clarity it brought. Silas was a painter. Though recognition still eluded him, the pulse of art beat strong within him, defining his waking thoughts. Fulfillment arrived when he stood before his easel, hands stained with charcoal and pigment, translating the world's first beauty onto canvas. His simple bedchamber, the blossoming orchards he adored, all sprang to vibrant life under his brush. These past months, particularly, had been a gift. The local orchards, heavy with fruit and flower, offered endless subjects, fueling a period of ardent, joyful creation. Tonight, however, respite called. Having just wrestled the essence of peach trees onto canvas, he craved a moment to let his mind breathe. He'd become captivated by those trees, their fragile pink-white petals seeming both delicate and strangely foreign, brightening the landscape like sudden blushes. Silas reveled in the potent hues that allowed him to capture the soul of the South, the tender pinks of peach blossom, the sturdy browns and verdant greens of branch and leaf. Then there were the fields of wheat, demanding tones of gold and copper, perhaps shot through with red and yellow, burnished with bronze until the scene vibrated with texture, almost leaping from the canvas. Mulling over the town's enduring beauty, Silas turned from the window. A walk beckoned, first to his favored spot by the river, then perhaps through the whispering wheat fields, finally wandering beneath the emerging tapestry of stars. This was his preferred mode of relaxation, immersing himself in the town's charm, gathering sights and sounds like precious gems. He moved through the small room, collecting his necessities, a handkerchief, coins, his blue coat. The space was spare, a bed with a turmeric yellow frame, two simple chairs, a small table. Whitewashed walls met red-tiled floors. He desired simplicity in furnishings, letting art provide the richness. His own canvases, bright landscapes, already adorned the walls, infusing the cozy confines with vibrancy. He lifted his yellow straw hat from its peg, its starkness a bold contrast against his fiery hair and beard, the very image of impassioned artistry. Lacing his most comfortable brown shoes, Silas slipped out, closing the door softly. He passed the guest room, envisioning it filled soon with more of his work, and descended the stairs. The front door opened onto grey cobblestones, softened in places by resilient tufts of grass. Silas ambled towards the Rhone, the river that coiled languidly through the town. He cherished time spent near the water. By day, he'd scrutinize the riverbank flora, dissecting the infinite variations of green, how shifting light sculpted their forms, mentally composing his approach. By night, his gaze turned upward, watching starlight fracture and ripple on the river's dark surface, tracing the pale, wavering yellow curves they inscribed. He walked without urgency, his focus less on arrival than on absorption, letting the details of his surroundings seep into him. His mind a fertile ground, sifted through nascent ideas for future canvases. A current of creative energy hummed within him as he registered the particulars, every sight a potential subject. To Silas, the world entire belonged on canvas. Each detail held beauty worthy of immortalization. Around him, townsfolk headed home or towards the familiar cafe he also frequented. Raised in a similar rural setting, he felt an unspoken kinship with the farmers he passed, their sun-weathered faces canvases in themselves, rich with unspoken stories. Painting them felt like connecting to the broader stream of humanity. He'd often yearned for this small-town simplicity while navigating the polished surfaces of Paris. The metropolis, though an artist's heaven, hadn't quite fit his soul. He needed quietude, nature's embrace, space to think. As these thoughts drifted, a group passed him. Women in voluminous cotton skirts of myriad colors, white blouses and neck scarves. Men in similarly bright trousers and shirts. Their faces, bronzed by field work, held a cheerful weariness. Laughter erupted at some shared anecdote, and Silas offered a private smile. Already his mind's eye was painting them. Bold strokes of ultramarine, deep ruby, emerald green for their attire, a blazing yellow sun presiding over fields rendered in oranges and reds. People possessed an ineffable quality, he mused, a vibrancy that demanded capture in pigment. Their movements, their sounds, it all felt like a wondrous, ceaseless melody he felt compelled to transcribe. The murmur of the river drew him from his reverie. He'd arrived at his destination. The clear blue water shimmered, gilded by the orange-yellow light of the setting sun. He sighed. A perfect moment. He walked a little further to his customary spot by the Rhone, near the Pont de Tranquille drawbridge. Settling onto the grassy bank facing the structure became a ritual. Sometimes he'd make preliminary sketches, mapping the composition before committing to paint, preferring direct observation but occasionally needing a study to feel his way into the final piece. Tonight, though, was for unwinding. No charcoal or canvas for hours yet. He found his familiar patch of cushioned grass and sat, drawing his knees to his chest, wrapping his arms around them. His straw hat rested beside him. A faint smile touched his lips. Peace settled upon him here, beside the flowing water. The river's ceaseless murmur smoothed the tension from his shoulders, rinsing his mind clean. For a time, thought ceased. He simply gazed, absorbing the landscape, the dense bushes leaning towards the cool, clear current, the occasional bird call stitching the evening air. The water itself, now painted orange by the departing sun. Red brick walls, streaked with white, supported the dark brown drawbridge on either bank, its lifting chains a deep, rusty maroon. Silas admired the bridge's elegant simplicity, its perfect integration into the environment, standing sentinel over the sun-dappled Rhone. The colors, he noted, existed in effortless harmony. This river had flowed long before his arrival, and would continue long after he departed. Its eternal movement captivated him, mirroring the permanence he craved for his art. Perhaps, someday, someone would view his painting of this scene, and the river he watched now would still be flowing. Unchanged, he sat a while, lost in this contemplation. The Rhone held him utterly spellbound. His breathing seemed to synchronize with the river's pulse, his chest rising and falling rhythmically, like the water eddying over submerged stones. The grass was soft beneath him. A light breeze stirred his red hair. Closing his eyes momentarily, he savored the coolness on his skin. He began to paint the scene internally, translating it through his unique vision. He pictured his brush, its handle a mosaic of dried colors from years of use, touching a blank canvas. The bridge first, careful, precise lines defining its structure. Nut-brown columns materialized in his mind, followed by burnt sienna strokes depicting the thin chain links. Brick by brick, red and white, the walls took shape, his imagined strokes becoming looser, freer. He favored a bold style, thin lines laid close, creating an image that pulsed with latent movement. Next, the river. Cobalt blue swirled with white, stroke after stroke flowing across the mental canvas, mimicking the water's glide over rocks. Then, the vegetation. Jade, emerald, moss green, applied with circular motions here, rapid dashes there. Brown mixed with green, a scattering of tall ochre reeds. A smile bloomed within Silas. The mere act of painting in his mind brought profound joy. After several more moments, he opened his eyes. Darkness had deepened. The sun had slipped below the horizon. While he could linger, watching evening bleed into night, the thought of a warm drink, perhaps a bite to eat, surfaced. His favorite cafe called. He enjoyed their coffee, and its street-side location offered the choice of solitary observation or easy company. With a final, lingering look, Silas stood, donned his hat, and turned back towards the town, mentally vowing a swift return. The cafe occupied a spot on a narrow lane. Patrons could choose their vantage point, the bustling room housing the billiard table. alive with the clatter of balls and convivial shouts. The terrace, perfect for nocturnal stargazing, or the charming cluster of small tables and chairs spilling onto the lane itself. Ideal for watching the world drift by. Tonight, Silas selected an outdoor table and ordered coffee. While waiting, he studied the cobblestones underfoot, noting their similarity to those near his yellow house. The cafe itself glowed yellow under the gas lamps, seeming almost animate, imbued with movement and depth. That same lamplight spilled onto the cobblestones, transforming their grey into a rich, unexpected purple. Houses lined the street, many fronted by rows of trees. From his seat, Silas commanded a perfect view of this urban nocturne and the deepening sky above. Stars were beginning to prick the darkness, emerging one by one like shy diamonds. Sipping his warm coffee, he contrasted this scene with the riverside tranquility. This was the thrum of ordinary life, just a cafe, a street, houses. Yet in Silas's thoughts, yellow, purple, grey, brown and blue began to whirl, coalescing, fixing this view in place. The lamplight reflected yellow in his blue-green eyes. To an observer, he might have seemed entranced, but within his mind, a blank canvas was undergoing a wondrous transformation. The stars overhead shimmered with lemony light, impossibly magical. Coffee finished, Silas left the cafe, heading towards the wheat fields near his dwelling. Just beyond them stood an old mill, a structure he found deeply compelling. He favored visiting the field at night. The view of the heavens was unobstructed there, no tall trees intervening. It offered space enough to lie back in the grass and lose himself in the cosmos for as long as he wished. He loved the stark contrast. The field below, warm, golden, fragile, composed of yellows and browns. The sky above, dark, vast, mysterious, draped in cool blues and blacks. His path took him past a field of irises, row upon row of lovely blue blossoms punctuating the landscape. He'd painted them recently, pleased with how their movement seemed captured on the canvas, mirroring their sway in the evening breeze. He found them charmingly wild, demanding broad, confident strokes. Further on, a cluster of almond trees stood sentinel. He'd rendered them several times during their current blossoming phase. The thick, charcoal-dark bark, strong and rough, provided a stunning counterpoint to the delicate pink and white flowers crowning the branches, reminiscent of cherry blossoms. Painting them had sparked a longing for Japan, for its famed sakura. For those pieces, he'd exercised unusual care with each petal, respecting the tree's exquisite individuality, proud that this specificity shone through in his art. Shortly past the almond trees, the wheat field opened before him. He paused, watching the airy stalks sway, so fine they barely caught the moonlight, lending them an ethereal luminescence. The grassy verge looked cool and inviting. Selecting a spot, he lay down, removing his hat and placing it on his chest. In the distance, the old mill creaked intermittently in the breeze. Nearby, crickets chirped their insistent rhythm. These were the sights, the sounds he had sought in leaving Paris. On nights like this, gratitude washed over him. Silas closed his eyes, letting the soundscape envelop him. The rustle of wheat mimicked the distant rush of a river. He yearned, sometimes, not just to paint what he saw, but to capture the entire sensory experience, the sounds, the feel of the air. He opened his eyes again to the celestial display. A crescent moon hung amidst countless glittering stars. The unobstructed view was precisely why he cherished this spot. Just him, the field, the mill, and the immense canopy of night. He often puzzled over the common notion of painting starry skies as mere white dots on black. Even now, gazing upward, he perceived a symphony of color. The sky wasn't black, but a profound, deep blue, darker than his ultramarine pigment, yet radiant like the lapis lazuli stone from which it derived. Occasional clouds drifted past, animating the darkness, creating waves of white and grey against the deep blue backdrop, like broad strokes on some cosmic canvas. And the stars, they hypnotized him. Not white, but golden, pink, emerald, scarlet, gemstones scattered across dark velvet. While the stars felt magical, mysterious, the moon offered comfort, glowing a warm, pale yellow, familiar as an old friend. The desire to paint the night sky arose frequently, spurred by the complex emotions it evoked. Yet he always found himself lost in the sheer contemplation of it, postponing the act. One day, he promised himself he would capture it, perhaps with cypress trees looming dark against the Rhone, or maybe hovering above these very wheat fields. Lying in bed, he often rehearsed it mentally, envisioning the colors, the strokes needed to convey its otherworldly presence as his eyes perceived it. Silas blinked, his mind adrift. His eyes mirrored the starlit expanse above, light reflecting in them just as the sunset had shimmered on the river's surface. With images of swirling blue clouds, the breeze that propelled them, and great, radiant yellow stars filling his thoughts, drowsiness claimed him. He dreamed of the eternal river, of delicate pink blossoms fluttering, of swirling bands of cobalt and ultramarine shot through with white and orange, of long dark green shapes reaching skyward. In slumber, he finally painted the wild, starry night that watched over him.